Hey. Okay, so welcome to the Coco Cafe with yours truly, Danny Renee. So this is a little bit of a different video that I want to start doing more of these. So today I'm going to be critiquing, not critiquing, but I just want to talk about and basically explain why the movie Antwone Fisher is so necessary. So if you've ever seen like Loki, if you ever used to watch Tatiana Mercedes, which is like one of the OG YouTubers that I used to love, I think her name was Marshmello for a long time. She used to do this thing called Movies You Should Have Been Seen, and she talked about movies that were older movies, but like explain like why you should have been saw. Now hers was more like funny and comedic, so for me, I'm kind of gonna take a swag just a little bit, but I want to do like a woke version of it. So shout out to her because she kind of gave me the idea for this. So the movie that I want to talk about today is Antwone Fisher. Now Antwone Fisher is an older movie. I want to say that this movie might be 20 years old now. That's crazy. This movie might be 20 years old. I think it came out between, I believe, 2000 and 2003. I don't think it came out after 2003. I personally saw this movie the first time when I was very, very young. I didn't see it right when it came out. I think I was a little too young for to see it like in theaters, but I saw it not too long after it came out. So I saw this movie years ago, right? And even as a kid, I remember like tearing up a little bit because it's a really sensitive, deep movie and it just speaks to your soul. But now that I'm older, I was watching Antwone Fisher on Hulu yesterday, and it just really got me thinking about how important, how necessary that movie was for our culture. When I say our culture, I mean young culture, black culture, American culture, male dominated culture. If you are not familiar with the movie, it stars Derek Luke, which he used to be really, really, really popular back in the early 2000s, dark skinned guy, very, very handsome, and Denzel Washington, everybody's favorite active child, right? And it's a true story based on the life of a man named Antwone Fisher. Antwone Fisher was a Navy man who, even though he was in the Navy, he got into a lot of fights. He was always in trouble. He was kind of like wild and all over the place. And through chance, because he was acting up so much in the service, they sent him to like mandatory counseling, mandatory therapy. And Denzel Washington, I forgot Sergeant, Superior Sergeant, somebody, I forgot his name, ends up becoming his psychologist, his therapist, right? And through this journey, the movie tracks his growth as a man through those sessions, right? So it starts off because, like I said, he was fighting. He kept getting in trouble in the Navy, and I guess they said, "Look, bro, like if you gonna stay in the Navy, you have to go to counseling. Like it's mandatory." So in towards the beginning of the movie, he doesn't want to go. Like he's forced to go, and he literally sits in Denzel Washington's office. It doesn't say anything for like weeks. Like they portray it to be multiple sessions. And all he had to do is get through 3 sessions, right? For Denzel Washington's character, I'm gonna just call him Superior Sergeant because I don't remember his name. For Superior Sergeant to write him off to say he's okay to still be in the Navy, he shouldn't be shipped home, and he can work, right? So it takes him a while because he's like, fuck you, like I'm not talking to nobody, it's not a big deal. If I fight, I just fight. It's no deep philosophical reason why I'm fighting. If somebody disrespecting me, I'ma disrespect them. Sort of kind of vibe. But as the movie goes on, he starts to open up to his therapist, right? And it just comes out all this different things that has happened in his life that actually led him to the point of being so angry. I think in the movie he's portraying his 24-year-old self. Um, and it kind of in these sessions he ends up talking about basically 24 years of his life and how he got to be so angry, how he got to be so wild, how he got to have such a temper, why he got to be almost like, I think they didn't explicitly say it, but he was a little manic. You know what I'm saying? But as a black man, he never found the importance to talk about how he got there. And it's only through Superior Sergeant Denzel Washington's character that he starts to unpack some of the things in his life that were traumatic, some of the things that were good, some of the things that made him him. Like, for example, a big thing was that he grew up in foster care. And his mother had him in prison, but his mother got out, I think he said, when he was 2 years old and never came back for him. So just the idea of like abandonment issues, which is something I definitely can identify with because I was abandoned by my father at a very young age, and I still haven't reconnected with him. And even starting off like from jump, just talking about and unpacking what it feels like to have a parent that just did not want you, or just couldn't take care of you, right? And then it came out that he didn't know his father's last name. He finds it out at the end of the movie, which I don't want to give it away. But he didn't even really know who his father is. He just know his father was killed. So just coming from like a broken home, right? He didn't realize like that was the reason why he was pissed off, why he felt like he had to defend himself all the time, right? And then coming out later, what it was like growing up in foster care. What was it like, unfortunately, being abused by his foster parents? Being neglected, not being fed properly, living with other foster kids. And then it comes out, he talks about the sexual abuse that he's experienced as a young boy from a grown ass woman. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like the story, the more he starts to talk to Superior Sergeant or Superior Captain. I'm sorry if I butchered it. If you're in the Navy, just educate me. Don't go in on me, please. Um, and he starts to talk about these different things, and it's like through these therapy sessions, we watch him grow into a man. And he realized almost in a sense that being a man is not always about fighting and being tough and cussing people out and being the hardest nigga on the block, right? Being a man is about knowing when to fight and when not to fight, understanding oneself, balancing oneself, knowing who you are when the world has told you that you are not important, finding self-esteem in a world that doesn't even talk about male self-esteem. And I just love the movie so much because it tracks all of these different, harm that he's experienced, right? And how it's made him into the man he is. And through these sessions, he unpacks it, right? And he starts to heal. That's what's so beautiful about this movie because it doesn't just stop at trauma and pain. He doesn't just pick up a gun and then at the end of the movie, he shouldn't have been in the life and he's gone and he's dead. No. It talks about how to heal from this pain, talking about things he's never said out loud. And I was just thinking to myself, like, wow, Antwone Fisher, I was just thinking to myself, like, wow, Antwone Fisher is such an important movie because it was one of the first times, I guess for me, I'm 25, first times I saw, a colorful, multidimensional black male experience being portrayed on film. You know, it really talked about the different sides and it went in depth. It was one of the first times I saw the importance of therapy, how therapy can heal. Like I went to therapy as a kid for a whole bunch of other reasons, but I didn't go when I saw that movie. I wasn't in therapy yet. That came a little bit later in my childhood. And it talks about the importance of therapy. And it talks about the importance of black men helping other black men heal and be better and drop burdens. And drop burdens of toxic masculinity. And understand that it's okay to be violent sometimes, but that violence is not your identifier as a black man. And I was just thinking like, wow, this movie is amazing. And the fact that it's a true story made it even better. Because this is somebody's actual healing story. There's even a scene in the movie where he talks about being a virgin. Like he was 24 in the Navy, very handsome guy, and he was a virgin. and he was clowned by it. Like, why you a virgin? You must be gay. And there's a scene where he even talks with the superior captain and talks out why he may be a virgin. And it comes out later that he was sexually abused by a woman, and it kind of, him being a virgin in a sense was like him taking his power back from being forced to experience sexual things so early, for being forced to experience assault so early. So it just comes out, it gives you a different perspective on what it means to not have sex, to be abstinent, to be a quote unquote virgin, even though we know virginity is like a social construct. As a black man, how many times do we see that on film, in life? Shoot, how many times do we see a man, a black man at that, openly talk about that? And when I say black, I'm more so speaking from the Afro American perspective, but I'm sure other people around the world, may say similar things that I'm saying. Um, and it's just such a beautiful movie because, like I said, it doesn't just stop at trauma. He ends up finding his birth parents. Sorry, spoiler alert. Go watch the movie. He ends up finding a woman who he can be comfortable with. He ends up finding a mentor in his therapist. He ends up seeing the benefit of therapy, right? There's even a scene where Captain has to let him go. He's like, you really was only supposed to have 3 sessions, but you start acting up. But the thing about it, it even talks about like how, I guess at that time, the idea of therapy needs to be different for different people. A 1, 2, 3, boom, 3 sessions don't work for everybody. Some people need 10. Some people need a year supply of sessions. Some people need to have therapy for 5 years straight to really peel, to really talk about what's going on, to really still function in the everyday world. So I just feel like this movie, Antwone Fisher, touches on so many topics that seems foreign to black men, but it's what, like, I'm assuming they go through every day. I'm a black woman, so I can't speak from a black male perspective, but I can speak from what I see and what I know as a black woman, especially in the U.S. So I love the movie, and most definitely, I made a connection that I never realized before. Moonlight with Trevante Rhodes, Mahershala Ali, and the little boy Caleb, I think is his name, is one of my favorite movies because I love the way it depicts and breaks down toxic masculinity, what it means to be poor and black, what it means to have a different sexuality than hetero. And it's just beautifully shot. But I realized, like, without Antwone Fisher, a movie like Moonlight, which is one of my favorite movies, could never even come out. It took a movie like Antwone Fisher. It took Antwone Fisher telling his story with the world to even make room for a movie like Moonlight, because they're both talking about similar things. This idea of, where do I fit? How do I take off the mask? You know, how the muscles and the aggression can only take me so far, or only mask and hide so much. How black men are human too, and it's okay to be sensitive. I love astrology, and Antwone Fisher, I would not be surprised if he's a water sign, or maybe an earth sign, but have a lot of water in his chart. And then the character of Chiron in Moonlight, it's like the ultimate water sign. What does it look like for the watery personality man to walk around and be a part of this culture? And why, and how do you heal when everybody tells you that what you feel is too much, or what you've been through, just get over it, right? So that's a movie I just wanted to speak on, why the movie Antwone Fisher is so necessary for our society, because it really opened up a lot of doors to have multidimensional um representations of black men. And then even looking at Moonlight, and then Antwone Fisher, and now you see characters like, I'm binging This Is Us, of Sterling Brown's character, on the layers of, they're getting into it. The layers of what it means to be black in this society, what it means to be a man, what it means to be adopted, what it means to be sensitive, to be different, to be not the stereotype, or what it means to reject the stereotype. So that's one of the movies. I'm gonna try to do little movie videos too because I like movies a lot. So if you have not seen Antwone Fisher yet, please go check that movie out. If you haven't seen Moonlight yet, please go check that movie out because, like I said, even aesthetically speaking, Moonlight is beautifully shot. And the main character, Trevante Rhodes, like that is my husband. No, I'm playing, but he is extremely beautiful man. So I'll be back, and thanks for watching the Coco Cafe with yours truly, Danny Renee.